What is going on, everybody? Welcome back, and in today's video we are going to be doing a 2026 NFL mock draft after week 10 of the NFL season. We're starting to get a better gauge on a lot of these teams that are going to be picking inside the top 10, and the draft order has changed since last week. We have a new team with the number one overall pick, with the Saints getting a win this weekend and the Jets both getting wins. There's only one-win team remaining, that being the Tennessee Titans. We aren't going to be doing trades in today's mock draft. That might be coming here in a couple of weeks, but I'm really excited to get into this one. If you guys do enjoy NFL draft content like this, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Really helps me out a ton. Be sure to hit the link in the description below if you are interested in my 2026 NFL draft guide. I'll be referencing it all throughout this video, but there you're going to be able to find all of my evaluations, my prospect reports, all of that stuff. So be sure to go check that out if you want more NFL draft content. And it's a really cheap way to support the channel, just a one-time purchase of $20, and you get it for the whole season. But let's go ahead and let's kick this off with the Tennessee Titans, where you could really throw a dart, and I think they probably could use that position. They are in a really tough spot as a franchise that I think they've got a lot of room to improve. If this were the real draft, I would say yes, they trade back, they try to acquire some future capital, but we're not doing trades, and I just don't really know that this is going to be a robust trade market given the quarterback class that we're operating today. I forgot to mention that Dante Moore will be headed back to school. It seems like all signs are pointing that he will be back at Oregon, so just wanted to get that out of the way. And if I'm the Titans, I want to get the best player available. Now, you could argue on who that is. I have Ruben Bain as my number one player, but for Tennessee, I'm actually going to take Arvell Reese, because I think what you can do with Arvell Reese is a little bit more exciting. He can play off-ball linebacker. He can play on-ball linebacker. You can play him off the edge. His raw strength and power that he can bring as a pass rusher is really, really impressive. He is playing all over the defensive side of the ball. He's incredibly strong at 6'4", 238 pounds. This guy has all of the intangibles, the measurements you want. And for the Titans, they need an impact pass rusher. I think he is a excellent run defender. He is going to be able to help your team in a number of different ways. And this defense isn't all that amazing off the edge. So I think Arvell Reese, you're going to play him all over, but I really like his fit. And I think he is a guy that we can legitimately talk about as the number one overall pick. I now have him as my number two player on my big board, behind the player I'm going to take here at number two. And we talked about it. It's Ruben Bain. What a nuclear start to the season that he had. And the production has tapered off a little bit, but a guy that has, what is that now, 50 pressures on the season with 5 sacks in there. He has been remarkable. A guy who is 6'3", 275 pounds, similar to Arvell Reese. I do think you can play him up and down your defensive line. If you want him to play on the inside, I think he can do that. If you want him to play off the edge, I think he can do that for you very well. He's been phenomenal. I think he is one of the most technical pass rushers in the class, where he can win with swipes and spins and all sorts of moves, and reminds me a lot of a future Hall of Famer that's on the Saints roster right now in Cam Jordan. I think this is a really impressive edge rusher that is going to get taken very, very high. So he will be my pick at number two. Now, I know a lot of people are going to ask, why didn't I take a quarterback? I kind of like what we've seen from Tyler Shuck the last couple of weeks. I'm going to take a defensive player and kind of ride it out with Tyler Shuck. They spent a top 50 pick on him, and he looks pretty good. Got them a win. I'll take Ruben Bain at number two. At number three for the Giants, we've gone offensive line a lot for them, and if they're picking at between 7 through 12, I think that's the right move. But if you're in the top 5 here and we're not doing trades, I just don't know if there's an offensive lineman that is worth going this high. You could talk yourself into Maui Noah, but where do I have Maui Noah on my board? I have him at number 11. I have Spencer Fano a little bit higher than him. I've got him at currently my number 10 player, but I just don't know if I feel awesome about any of those guys here at number 3, but I do feel very good about Jordan Tyson here at number 3. I had a bit of a blunder last week when I said the Giants are looking for a number 1 receiver. I apologize. That's no Malik Neighbors slander. But I like Jordan Tyson just as much as I liked Malik Neighbors. I think he's that caliber of a wide receiver prospect that can separate to all three levels of the field. He's got phenomenal hands, great size as well. What is he, 6'2", 195 pounds? And they have to continue to surround Jackson Dart with weapons. So Jordan Tyson, I think there's a no-brainer for me at number 3 for the Giants. So he'll be my pick here. And number 4 for the Cleveland Browns, Dylan Gabriel just doesn't look like the guy. He has looked awful. They're another team that I think desperately could use some O-line help. It's just not the right spot on the board to do that. But if Fernando Mendoza is on the board, I'm going to take him. I have Mendoza currently as a top 7 player on the board. I am all in on Fernando Mendoza, and I do really like Ty Simpson too. But Mendoza, I think, has better arm talent. The arm is phenomenal. He is just so decisive. He gets the ball out of his hands quickly. I think he gives you a little bit more athletically even than a guy like Ty Simpson. He's just a really impressive all-around quarterback, and I think that final 2-minute drive that he had against Penn State sealed the deal and solidified him even more than where I already had him as my QB1. So I really, really like Fernando Mendoza. I'm going to take him here to the Cleveland Browns at number 4. At number 5 for the New York Jets, there are a couple of different ways that this team can go. You could take Ty Simpson, get your quarterback of the future, or you could go a different route and try to build up. You now have 3 first-round picks in 2027, and I do think that is a very fair school of thought. I could definitely see a Carnell Tate or a Mekhi Lemon being an excellent pick for the Jets here. I could see them going back to the defensive line, whether that be a Peter Woods. You could go Caleb Downs if you want that versatility on the back end, and I do think safety is a big need. There's a bunch of different ways that I think the Jets could potentially go, and I am going to change it. I do think if the Jets are picking in the top 5, I just think they're probably going to force a quarterback. We see it all the time, but I don't know that we would be forcing it with Ty Simpson. I think with what we have seen from Simpson over the last few weeks, he is every bit worth a top 10 pick. I have him now as my number 11 player on the board. He is just so good and just a very similar to Mendoza, decisive. He makes great decisions. I think the accuracy is the best part of his game. He doesn't put the ball in harm's way. He makes NFL-level throws. He's an NFL-level processor. For the Jets, I really like that idea of we've got our offensive line. We've got our number 1 receiver. I think now they have an infrastructure in place to go get a franchise quarterback. And then you've got another pick here. You've got a couple of seconds. You've got 3 firsts next year. You can really build out this defense, the supporting cast. I think if Mendoza or Simpson are on the board, the Jets would absolutely consider that, and I am going to take Ty Simpson at number 5. At number 6 for the Las Vegas Raiders, another team that's a pretty difficult to draft for. I could see them going right tackle here, taking Spencer Fano, taking Francis Maui-Noah. I would start considering offensive line here at number 6. I could see them going edge rusher to get an option opposite of Mad Max. I could see them going Caleb Downs, but I'm going to change this up. I'm actually going to take Carnell Tate here. This team I really think needs to consider wide receiver. And yes, they did go wide receiver just a couple of picks last year. They took Deontay Thornton. They took Jack Besh, who give free Jack Besh because that was one of my favorite players in the class. We haven't really gotten to see him. But when you look at the receiving room that they have, I don't think that they have that true true do-it-all receiver, if you will. Carnell Tate, I think, is that. I have moved Carnell Tate. When I did my prospect spotlight on him, I had him as a second-round player. He is now the number 9 player on my board. He's my number 3 receiver, but for the Raiders, he would be the number 2 behind Tyson. I think receiver's a sneaky need in Vegas because they're starting Tyler Lockett right now, and I think that should tell you everything you need to know. I'm going to take Carnell Tate here at number 6 and hope that he can help fill out this receiving room for the long run. At number 7 for the Miami Dolphins, I do think they are going to go secondary. Caleb Downs is going to be my pick here for them. He can just do everything for you on the back end. You can play him in the box, the slot, single high. He's such a willing defender against the run, which is why I really like when he is in the box. I'm a big fan of Caleb Downs. He's my number 2, where do I have him? Number 3 on my board? Yeah, he's the number 3 player on my big board. There's just not a lot of weaknesses. And for Miami, like, yes, you need a little bit of everything on the offensive line. I think you could improve, but Caleb Downs is like the definition of a chess piece defensively. He makes so much sense here. I'm going to take him at number 7, which I really think is going to make Washington really upset, because I think that's the guy that this team needs. They're the oldest roster in football. There are so many different ways that this team could look to go. I think they could go edge rusher. David Bailey is now my number 2 edge in the class. I loved him in the summer. I didn't see this type of rise from him. He's been incredible, and I would consider him here at number 8. I would consider corner, like Mansour Delane, I think is the only guy you'd consider. I know people are going to talk about Jermod McCoy, but with his injury, I just think there's zero chance he gets taken. So there's your question. Peter Woods is another name that I think could come up, but when I look at this team, I think the interior is their strongest part. They paid Kinlaw. You drafted Newton just a year and a half ago. I don't think that's the route, and it's just a bad spot for Washington to be on the board. Like, Caleb Downs is a no-brainer, and since we're not doing trades, I think I'm going to look a different route, and I am going to take Mekhi Lemon here. I think this receiving room is really, really bad outside of Terry McLaurin. And I think when you look at the receivers that win in the NFL, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Lad McConkey, Puka Nacua, what is their number 1 trait that helps them succeed? It's their separation. And Mekhi Lemon is the best separator in the class. I have Lemon as my number 6 player in the draft. I am so high on Mekhi Lemon. And for Washington, he can be that slot weapon for you. I don't think Debo is going to be here for the long term. Mekhi Lemon, I think, can fill those shoes. He can separate, be another weapon for Jaden. They're in a tough spot because I know how badly this team needs defense. I just don't know if there's defense worth taking for Washington here at 8. So we're going to go with Mekhi Lemon for them. And I think Washington fans will like that one. At number 9 for Cincinnati, I'm sprinting the card in and taking Peter Woods. While he has had his ups and downs this year for Clemson, I still think this is an NFL-level defensive interior player. With his strength, his run defense abilities, and what he can give you as a pass rusher, Cincinnati's interior is really, really bad. They cannot stop the run. They have to do better. McKinley Jackson was requesting a trade. They haven't hit on the Chris Jenkins pick. Their interior is awful. I think Peter Woods is still a top 5 player in this draft class. And for the Bengals, I think he makes a lot of sense, can help shore up the interior of that defense. So we'll go Peter Woods at number 9. At number 10 for the LA Rams. Very interesting spot because they have the choice of every lineman in the class. They also have the choice of every corner in the class. So you really start to ask, okay, do you want to take the best corner in the draft, which to me, it is Mansour Delane ever so slightly. I have him at 14, McCoy at 15. I have had to do some maneuvering around because I am worried about the Jermod McCoy injury. I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't worried. And I just don't think that that's the right move here. So do you go Delane, or do you go wait until that like your second first, where you pick at 27, where you could get a Chris Johnson or a Keith Abney or a Colton Hood. McCoy could still be there with his injury. And I think that's the route I'm going to go. And if I'm the Rams, I think you're playing with house money here. I'll take Francis Maui-Noah. While he's not my top tackle, he's pretty close. And I think for the Rams, Maui-Noah makes a little bit more sense than Fano because I do think Maui-Noah can kick inside to guard. They love big, physical, disruptive forces on their offensive line. You look at Steve Avila, you look at Alaric Jackson, you look at the types. Maui-Noah is that type of guy, the mauling mentality that he can bring to the run game, whether it's right tackle at the long term as the Rob Havenstein replacement, or whether that is going to be at guard. I think Maui-Noah makes a lot of sense, and I think at 11, it makes the pick pretty easy. I think if you're Arizona, you were going with whatever offensive lineman the Rams didn't take. And I do think Spencer Fano is the right move. I'm still really high on Spencer Fano. I have him as my number 12 player in the draft. They get him at number 11, so right on board. Fano is just such a good run blocker. He moves so well in space. His lateral agility is some of the best I have ever seen from a college offensive lineman. And I'm not exaggerating there. I think he's that good. There's so many different things that I think you can do with him as a prospect. Yes, there are questions about can he hold up at his weight at tackle. I'm not as worried as a lot of people seem to be. I'm taking him at 11 to Arizona, and I think I've got my bookend tackles with Paris and Fano for the next 4 to 5 years. At number 12 for Dallas, they could go edge rusher here. You've got a lot of options on the board. TJ Parker, David Bailey, Cassius Howell. I'm actually going to go a different route here. I'm going to take Mansour Delane with the first of our picks because I think this team, they need secondary help really, really badly. I'm still a big Savone Revel believer. They should be getting him back after the bye, which very curious to see what he can bring. They've had a pretty good draft class. He was my favorite guy that they drafted. So Delane, you have a guy that can play in the slot for you, but he has been so good on the boundary for LSU this year. He's physical. He moves really well. I think the value at edge is going to be better at pick 21 than the value on corner, where I think there is a bit of a dip between corner 1 and 2 and the rest of the class. I don't really see that dip in the edge class where you've got guys like I said, Parker and David Bailey and all that type of talent. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to go corner first and take edge second at pick 21. At pick 13 for the Ravens, I do think this is a team that goes edge. I think getting another pass rusher makes sense. They moved Odafe Owe. Mike Green has been okay for them. He hasn't been the type of player I was expecting. Getting some more speed, getting some more finesse in the pass rushing department. And I think that's David Bailey. I think David Bailey is the best pure pass rusher in the draft class. I've been saying that for months at this point. And he just continues to stack elite performances after elite performance. Almost a 25% pass rush win rate. This is a guy that has 66 total pressures on the year with 12 sacks. He's got speed. He can convert speed to power. His spin move is filthy. For Baltimore, getting a speed rusher like David Bailey makes the life so much easier for the rest of your defense when he can get home like that. I am so high on him as a player. I think he would be an awesome fit for Baltimore at 13. At pick 14 for Minnesota, I think they would have considered Mansour Delane if he was on the board here at pick 14. Unfortunately, he's not, and I think it makes their pick pretty simple. I think they're going to go with Jeremiah Love. They've got to be able to run the ball a little bit more effectively. I don't think Aaron Jones is a long-term answer. Jordan Mason's been in and out of the lineup. I really like Jeremiah Love, and they should try to make life easier for J.J. McCarthy. I heard a stat that he dropped back 42 times, I believe, against Baltimore. That can't slide. You've got to improve this run game. I like the line when it's healthy. Jeremiah Love, though, if you pair him now with this offense, I think they could have one of the best offensive attacks in the league. So I'll take Jeremiah Love at pick 14. At pick 15, for the Houston Texans, couple of different routes I could see them going, but both of them do involve going on the offensive line. Caden Proctor, I think if he goes in the first round, it's late, and it's to a team that's going to convert him to guard. And full transparency, I think whatever Houston does here, it's going to be a guard. Olaivevenga Awane, I think, is very much in play here. He is playing himself into this top 25 consideration. I have him and Emmanuel Pregnon very, very close in this like 34 to 40 range. Like I think they're both in that sort of mix. I think Awane is probably the guy that I could see the league liking a little bit better, a little bit bigger at 6'4", 334. I do think that both of them will go in the first round. But if I'm Houston, I'm going to take Caleb Lomu because I think the traits are too good to pass on. 6'6", 304 pounds, great in pass protection. He's just got a sturdy base, good footwork, picks up blitz as well. He might not be this instant impact tackle for you right out the gate, but I think if you give him a year to develop, he's going to be a standout tackle in the league. I'm going to take Caleb Lomu, move him to the right side, and I feel pretty good about what they could build there. So we'll take Lomu at 15. At pick 16 for Carolina, I think they could go with an edge. I love the edge talent in this class. Parker, Falk, Howell. I think those guys make sense. They've got Scorton, they've got Wanham, they've got Umami Allen. I think they've got some pieces. I think they have maybe the worst second level defense in football right now. I'm going to take Sonny Styles to the Carolina Panthers, a guy that is a Swiss Army knife. He played safety when he first came to Ohio State as a 5-star recruit. They've moved him to linebacker. He has missed 0 tackles this year. He has been phenomenal. He is a great blitzer. They use him so well as a downhill force in run defense. Sonny Styles, I think, is playing himself into top 20 conversations. I have him as my number 24 player on my board. Really, really big fan of him. We're going to take him at number 16. At number 17 for the Kansas City Chiefs, I think this pick's pretty easy. I'm going to go with TJ Parker. They have a type at edge. They like the bigger, more physical edge presence, and that's exactly what you get in TJ Parker. He's bigger, he is more physical, he's got that power element. I never really got the top 10 hype around TJ Parker. I think I had him around that range, but I think between pick 15 and 25 is much more realistic. For Kansas City, you need to get after the quarterback a little bit quicker, more effectively. They have to get real edge rushers in there, and I think TJ Parker is the exact type of guy that we know Brett Veach in this defense loves to go after. At pick 18 for San Francisco, I think this is where you're going to see a small string of edge rushers go. I'll take Cassius Howell here at pick 18. Man, Howell is so good, and he is one of the most disruptive, true pass rushers in this class. And I know what a lot of people are going to say. Well, they took Michael last year. They're going to get Nick Bosa back. They traded for Keon White. They still have Bryce Huff. Bryce Huff is hurt. Michael Williams, I never liked Michael Williams. And I'm not saying they give up on him after 1 year, but you need an early down pass rusher or a guy that can get after the quarterback on third down. Michael Williams is not going to be able to do that. I think he's got an 11% pass rush win rate. That's not going to cut it at the next level. Cassius Howell, what's his win percentage right now? It's probably in the mid-20s. 23.4% win rate. He's been so good for Texas A&M. I'm not going to overthink this. I'm going to take Cassius Howell at pick 18. At pick 19, we took Fernando Mendoza. This is interesting because I do think there's 2 different ways that this team could go. Number 1, you take Olajuwon-Wane, you make him your starting guard because I don't think Teller or Bitonio will be here next year. Or you take Denzel Boston and get a true number 1 X receiver for your franchise quarterback. Man, really tough. I think I'm going to prioritize protecting Mendoza, though, and that is going to be with Olajuwon-Wane. He's been really, really good for Penn State. There's really no way around it. He is a disruptive player, 6'4", 334 pounds. He is powerful. He's got excellent footwork and pass protection. He's been really good for Penn State, and he's a guy that's going to probably go in the first round. The off-field stuff as well seems like people loves the video last week of him helping push the cart. This is the type of guy you want in your locker room. I think at 19, the Browns get more athletic and bigger along the offensive line. At pick 20 for the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think they are a team that could go a couple of ways. I just don't think there's going to be another quarterback taken. Truthfully, I don't see it. I think there's going to be a big drop-off at the quarterback spot. And so, O-line, you could go tackle. My next tackle is Caleb Tiernan. I don't think this is the right spot for him. And then you're looking at, corner, which, yes, I think corner would make a lot of sense. Avion Terrell, Jermod McCoy, those type of players, I think could be really fun here. Or this team decides to go with a receiver. And I do think we are going to take a receiver. What type of receiver is kind of the question. It's between Denzel Boston, Casey Concepcion, and Chris Bell. Of the 3, I have Denzel Boston as my highest rated guy. I don't know that Pittsburgh would take him because they might see the size being a bit too redundant with DK Metcalf. I'm going to go with KC Concepcion. It's a pick that we haven't taken him in the first round at all. But this is a guy that is so dynamic with the football in his hands. You just have to get him the ball. Like, whether that's on designed runs, jet sweeps, screens, he's so good with the ball in his hands. He's an incredible separator. I think he's a better version of what you have in Calvin Austin. So Concepcion here at pick 20, I think would be a really good fit for him in Pittsburgh, where I think he could see some early touches for this Steelers team. At pick 21 for the Cowboys, we took Mansour Delane earlier. Now I'm going to go with a pass rusher. I'll take, do you want to, man, that was interesting. I'm going to take Keldrick Folk. I think he's a little bit of a better fit in their defense in terms of they like the bigger edge rushers more traditionally in a Eberflus defense. They have Ezaraku, who I see as more of that pass rushing specialist. Keldrick Folk is a better run defender. There's not really any argument there, I don't think. And I think he would be a really good fit for this team. What he can do as a run, what he can do athletically. And I think there's a real opportunity for him to develop into a pass rusher. I think the athleticism, the traits are there. I'll take him at pick 21 to the Cowboys. At pick 22 for the Bears, where I've changed up my notes a little bit from where I had it. So, initially I did have Keldrick Folk going here. He's obviously off the board. Romello Height is so interesting to this team. He really is. Is this the right spot? Like, would they go with Romello Height? I'm going to take him because very similarly to with what we said about a guy like Cassius Howell, I know they paid for edge rushers and different things in the offseason. Romello Height with a 21.1% pass rush win rate, 45 pressures this year. You've got to get after the quarterback. And Romello Height has done that super, super well this year. For the Bears, I think that is the biggest glaring weakness on this team. They don't have a very good pass rush. Romello Height is a awesome pass rusher that I think would fit really, really well here. So we'll take him at pick 22. At pick 23 for the Buffalo Bills, I'm going to go with a route I've gone multiple times now. We're going to take C.J. Allen. I just think he is a first-round linebacker. His speed to the ball, his run defensibility, he is a menace. Does he bring you everything you want in coverage? Not yet. It's not all there yet. But with what his athleticism provides and how reliable he is against a run, he's really strong, really good at taking on blocks. I think he'd be awesome in Buffalo's. They need linebacker after this year. I'll take him at 23. At pick 24 for Tampa Bay, I could see them going Kenyon Sadiq. I think they would have very much considered Romello Height here. But I'm actually going to go with Emmanuel Pregnon, the guard out of Oregon. Pregnon has been phenomenal this year. He is my top-rated guard in this draft class. 6'5", 318 pounds, excellent size. He's got a long, powerful frame that is a good run blocker. But what he has been able to do in pass protection, yes, he will get beat to his inside shoulder when he does get beat. But he is a great athlete with recovery speed. His hand fighting's phenomenal. I think he's got a strong base. I think Pregnon is going to test really well. He's playing awesome football for Oregon right now. I think there is a very real chance we're talking about Emmanuel Pregnon as a first-round pick. I'm taking him here at pick 24 to Tampa Bay. At number 25 for Detroit, this is where I'm going to have Jermod McCoy come off the board. Detroit is in a position where I think they can honestly take a swing on a guy like Jermod McCoy, a guy that has all the athleticism in the world, was so good last year. The only reason he's falling is because there are legitimate concerns about his long-term health. There's an ACL injury in there. I'm not ultimately super concerned about it, and that's why I'm going to take him here at pick 25. I really, really like Jermod McCoy, and I think the Lions are in a position with they're contending for Super Bowls. They now have a chance to swing on a really good player that's only falling due to some injuries. At pick 26 for the LA Chargers, another really interesting spot that I think this team could consider, but it's like Jennings Dunker is a name I've seen so many people liken in the first round. I just don't see it. I have him in this second to third round range. Caden Proctor, I also don't see it, but he's going to go in the first round because of the measurables. And what is his size again? 6'7", 366. Like, yeah, there's a very real chance he goes here. If I'm the Chargers, I think they could look for another pass rusher. I think there's a chance that, like, Quincy Rhodes or R. Mason Thomas go, but I think for the Chargers, I'm going to take a swing on Caden Proctor. Bet on the upside, bet on the athleticism. We're moving him to guard. He can't be worse than Mekhi Becton's been this year. That's kind of my thought process. I know a lot of Chargers fans really like this pick. So, yeah, we're going to take that swing. We're going to take Caden Proctor at 26. At pick 27, I don't think it could have gone much better for the Rams here to get Avion Terrell at number 27. They get Francis Maui-Noah and Avion Terrell in the first round. Terrell is one of my favorite players in this class that I still, for some reason, find is being overlooked because he is a little bit smaller, but his aggressiveness, willingness to defend the run, he's feisty, he's physical, he's got good ball skills. Like, he checks all those boxes. I think he's an awesome fit for the Rams and just a really good football player. So we'll take him at pick 27. At pick 28 for the New England Patriots, I think they are another team that you would consider potentially going Jennings Dunker, but I'm not going to do that. I'll take Kenyon Sadiq because Austin Hooper's a free agent after this year. Hunter Henry the year after that. I think Kenyon Sadiq is more of a developmental tight end than people want to admit. But if you have Hunter Henry for another year, Sadiq can be that vertical threat and be a blocker for you in 12 personnel. I kind of like it. I kind of do. So we'll take Kenyon Sadiq. The athleticism's ridiculous. The blocking's phenomenal. I think he could be a really good player. We'll take him here. At number 29 to the Seattle Seahawks, I'm going to take Colton Hood. They don't seem to be all that crazy about Reek Woolen long term. I don't really think that should change this. I think Witherspoon, Hood, and Eamon Wari in your secondary is elite. Colton Hood is a very balanced, really smart zone defender, very similar to what Mike McDonald wants to do. Yeah, I really like Colton Hood as a fit here. I'll take him at pick 29. At pick 30 for the Denver Broncos, one of the toughest picks to make because I do think they could go linebacker. I think you would consider Anthony Hill. I think you could consider, I don't think Jacob Rodriguez is going to go in the first round, but that's kind of where I'm going to get at here. I don't think they go linebacker in the first because you could get a Deontay Lawson in the second. You could get a Jake Golday, Jacob Rodriguez, one of those guys later on where I think the value's better. Tight end, same sort of deal. I just don't like the value on any of these guys. So we're going to go with an edge. I'm going to take Quincy Rhodes Jr. Now, the reason I'm taking Quincy Rhodes here is you're probably asking, wait, they have like one of the best pass rushers in the league. And you're right. John Franklin Myers and Malcolm Roach are free agents at the end of this year as that true base 3-4 defensive end. I think that's what Quincy Rhodes is going to be able to provide is a athletic replacement at 6'6", 275 pounds. This is the range I would consider him. I have him as my top-ranked edge on the board still. I love his fit here to the Broncos. We'll take him at pick 30. At pick 31 to the Eagles, I think they could go edge, but Jalen Phillips was good. I think they're going to try to bring him back. I'm actually going to go... I haven't done this yet, but I am a little concerned about the guard play. And I know I'm lower on Dunker than the consensus, but this is a range, like, I know I have a second to a third round grade on him. I'm going to update my board here very soon. But Dunker, I have as my number 80 player. Yeah, I think it's probably too early here. I think this team probably goes secondary. And if I'm going to go secondary, I really like Chris Johnson. I really do. I love the ball skills. I love the fluidity. I think he's got teach tape and press coverage. I'm going to take him because I think he can be that boundary corner. So you can have him and Quinyon. You have Michael Carter in the slot. You can move Cooper DeJean back to safety where I think he's probably better. I think that kind of rounds out what I think could be one of the best young secondaries in football. We'll take Chris Johnson at 31, and then to round it out at pick 32, we took Ty Simpson to the Jets at pick 5. I'll take Denzel Boston at pick 32. A guy with size, can be that perfect boundary chain-moving receiver opposite of Garrett Wilson. Lord knows this team needs receiver help desperately. I'm going to take Denzel Boston to round it out. But that's going to do it for this mock draft, guys. A really fun one. A lot of new players, new faces, and new places. So really liked this one. Would love to hear from you guys down in the comment section. Who am I too high on? Who am I too low on? Be sure to check out my draft guide if you want much more content. There's over 450 prospects on the board. Leave a like on this video. Subscribe if you are new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Adios.